We're going to look back to my over-under predictions last year. How right was Ryan? How wrong was Ryan? We're going to do that on just a fun, enjoyable, small episode of Locked On Badgers.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Going on, Badger fans, on the precipice of the season. I can't sleep. I'm excited for it. Let's bring in the ghost of Ryan Past, and let's get a feel for how I thought last year's over-under would go. And, man, look at that guy. Look at that background. Man, how far we've come in a year. All right, let's turn this Ryan on. I still have that hat, by the way, but if you look in the background, that Keurig machine back there, that thing's dead. I have the microphone in the screen. That's distracting. Golly, man. Okay, let's see what Ryan, the ghost of Ryan Past, thought of last year's team.
Really appreciate everybody listening, leaving a like, subscribing. Guys, our subscribers are over 100 now. We're creeping up on 120. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I really love that we're building this Badgers.
When I did this, I didn't realize we had just creeped over 120 subscribers. That's incredible, and it's a testament to just the way we're building this community and the way we still continue to build it and hope to build it, and the quality of guests we've had on. And I am still incredibly grateful for every single person that's helped build this, and it's been all of us. So yeah, when I recorded this, we had just gone over 120, and I think we're at like 5,200 now, which still blows my mind.
There's community here. You guys know that we bring all sorts of different guests on, so I can't thank you all enough for the support as we build this Badger community through Locked On. Thank you for making it your first listen every single day. And we're going to get into it, guys. The over-unders are out for Vegas for Badgers football. They have BetOnline has set the over-under for Wisconsin this year at 8.5.
Good number.
8.5. So 8 wins, you fall under. 9 wins, you fall over. I'm going to be straight up. This is a tough one. I feel like 8.5 is a great number. It's very difficult. I'm going to go through the schedule. We're going to do it together. As you listen, leave comments below. Let me know in the show if you agree or disagree, either through YouTube or Twitter, whatever. But we're going to go through the schedule, and I think we squeak over.
Already my first bad take, squeaking over. Listen, you can't go in the comments and retroactively give me your over-under for last year's team. Don't try that. There were a lot of 11-1, 10-2 people in the comment section of this show, so I wasn't the only one here, but yeah, poor Ryan is about to make some bad takes, I think. Let's see where I thought our losses and wins would come.
But as we break this down kind of step by step, you guys let me know. So we're going to start week 1, Illinois State. That's a win, right? They're beating Illinois State. And if they don't, yeah, there's going to be all sorts of problems. Then they go Washington State comes home. I have them beating Washington State, so we're up to 2 wins. Now, keep in mind, Washington State was a winning team last year. That's not a cakewalk, right? They went 7-6. They got some transfers in, as everybody did. I think we still beat them the games in Madison, but it's not a cakewalk. But I got us at 2-0. New Mexico State comes into Madison next.
I was close. I felt like I kind of knew it. Hey, not a cakewalk. I didn't even mention Cam Ward, which I should have done. But yeah, there's my second bad take. Washington State.
New Mexico State was a terrible team last year, 2-10 as an independent. Yeah, Braylon Allen's going to mop that up. So it's 3-0. All right, so we're at 3-0 now. I think those are the easiest calls on the board, even though the Washington State game, again, the Cougs were decent last year. Like you can't sleep on them. But I think we're at 3-0, and then we get into kind of the tricky areas, right? So week 4, they go to Ohio State, okay? Big Ten opener for the Badgers. They're playing in Columbus. Probably going to be a night game. Although if they played that game in Madison, it'd be an 11 o'clock kick on Big Noon Fox or whatever.
True.
You know, it'd be one of those types of deals. But yeah, they're losing in Columbus, guys. It just is what it is. I'm at the point of life as a Badger fan where I don't think we'll ever beat Ohio State again. Call me defeatist, or on the flip side, call me just keeping it real, Ryan.
Keeping it real, Ryan. I need to bring that one back.
But we're not going to beat Ohio State in Columbus at night, guys. So I got us at 3-1. Then the Fighting Bird Bielema's come to town. I got us at 4-1. We're beating Illinois at home. Then we go to Northwestern. We're at 4-1. Remember, the over-under is 8.
I didn't even give by the way, I didn't even give Illinois a chance there. Like, it was a 2-second breakdown. That is a big miss, man. They're coming in. We'll beat them. Moving on. I gave I feel like I gave New Mexico State more credit in the breakdown than I just gave Illinois and Bielema. That is a bad take, Ryan. That did not age well.
8.5. So we need to get 9 wins to hit it over. We're at 4-1. Illinois comes to town. Or I'm sorry, we go to Northwestern. That place has been every year we play in Northwestern. I think we will beat them, and we always have trouble there. No matter what happens, we always have trouble in Northwestern.
You tell them, Ryan.
No matter how much better our team is, it seems like we always struggle on that sloppy field. We come out unmotivated in front of their 13,000 fans, and we just play down to their level. And quite frankly, I think Paul Chryst and some of the conservative game planning that he's had in the past, I think it kind of plays into Northwestern's playbook there. Like, I think that's what they want. They want a team to come in with a conservative game plan, and they just want to play the boringest 60 minutes of football possible and hopefully come in at the end. I think we beat Northwestern. Every time we go to Ryan Field, I think we beat Northwestern. I'm wrong half the time, but I have us beating Northwestern, right?
So I just talked about how tough it is and, difficult to call, and they waxed them. They waxed Northwestern last year. So I got the win right, but I don't feel like I got the game script right. It was that after Paul Chryst, coaching bump game. I certainly couldn't have anticipated that, but
right. So I got us at 5-1
right on that one, though.
After Northwestern, we go to Michigan State. I have us losing that game. Michigan State, Mel Tucker, they're building something there. I don't think last year is necessarily indicative of what they're going to be every year, but I also don't think it's necessarily a fluke. They brought in a lot of talent. They're recruiting again well. They're recruiting well again this year, which isn't going to have an impact on the game. But I think recruiting is kind of like a microcosm of the momentum of a program.
Good work.
Right? When you're recruiting well, it's kind of a sign that a lot of the other parts are working. It's not 100% true, Texas, right? But typically, I think it's a good indicator. I think that's a healthy program under Tucker. They invested a lot for stability. They paid him a lot. They paid the recruiting director, who we all know, Saeed Khalif, a lot. I think it's a good team, man. And going to East Lansing, road games are always tricky. I have that down as a loss, right? So now we're at 5-2. We get Purdue at home coming up.
So I got the game right, but I definitely was off on Michigan State and their trajectory.
After that, I'm going to say it's a win. We got them at home. Typically at home, we beat Purdue. So now we're at 6-2. We have a bye, a good spot for a bye. We played 8 games. So that's a solid bye location. After the bye, we got Maryland. I'm going to say 7-2. And now you get into the tricky part for this. I honestly think everything we've gone over, the first 9 games, we're at 7-2 with losses in East Lansing and losses in Columbus. I don't think any of these are that crazy, right? To me, I think that's pretty chalk. But now you're going to go at Iowa, at Nebraska, and finish up at home against what should be a pretty good Minnesota team with a veteran quarterback and a good offensive line and a good running game. So I have us at 7-2, going to Iowa, going to Kinnick. I think we lose that game, guys. So now we're at 7-3. I think we lose at Iowa. So I have us down for 3 road losses already. And again, like, Wisconsin can beat Iowa in Kinnick. They've done it, right? They could beat Sparty in East Lansing, but are they going to with the quarterback play unless it gets better? We just have to see some things to say that, right? And I bet you going to East Lansing, we're gonna be an underdog. Going to Kinnick, it won't surprise me if we're an underdog when we go to Kinnick at that point of the year.
Man.
I have us at 7-3 now. We have at Nebraska and then home against Minnesota. Until somebody in a Husker uniform can prove to me otherwise, Wisconsin's going to beat Nebraska. They beat them 7 straight times. 4 of those games haven't been close, quite frankly. It's been 43-17, 35-21 type drubbings.
Man.
Quite frankly, Nebraska, since they got into the Big Ten, since they got their bell rung getting into the Big Ten, they have not been able to stand up to the Wisconsin rushing attack, and that's not going to change.
Really, Nebraska's been like a boxer, and they stepped into the Big Ten with the hype song. You remember the movie The Great White Hype, and he stepped in, and then he got punched in the face, and it was all over. Like, Nebraska's never recovered from that right hook that Wisconsin gave them in year 1 in their Big Ten entrance, and they've never really come back from that. All their swagger was eliminated in that one Badger game.
Braylon Allen, guys. Like, it's more of a physical challenge now, right? Maybe it was more of an athletic challenge with a dude like Melvin Gordon, right? But it's a physical challenge, and Nebraska hasn't been able to do it. Now Nebraska has brought in a ton of transfers. Casey Thompson, a really solid quarterback from Texas, is coming in. They just landed a big-time receiver. They landed a defense lineman from Alabama. Like, they bring in lots of dudes, but getting those dudes to fit, it's like Tetris. If you don't line them up right, you can bring in all the good pieces you want, but it isn't going to give you any lines. So I'm against it. I think Wisconsin beats Nebraska. That brings us up to 8-3, and it gets it down to the last game of the year for the over/under, right? So we're at 8-3. We win. We get the over. We lose. We get the under. Last game at home against Minnesota. I have us winning that game, but the way this rivalry's gone the last several years, that's not a cakewalk anymore. That should be a good Minnesota team. You know, Tanner Morgan, it's very possible he's the best quarterback on the field that day, depending on what we see from Graham Mertz. It's going to be a motivated Minnesota team, I'm sure. But this is also going to be a super – it should be a super motivated Wisconsin team as well. Lost to Minnesota last year at home, last game of the year, potentially for the Big Ten West.
It all makes sense.
I think Wisconsin wins. I think they go over, but just slightly. I got them at 9 wins. Again, the over-under is 8.5. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know.
You are. You were. You still are. Doggone it, Ryan. Read the tea leaves. Mertz wasn't the guy. Doggone it. Look at that background, man. You got to upgrade that background, Ryan. Anyway, fun show. I thought it'd be cool just to go back and look at where I was last year, because the takes are out there, right? And I'm not going to run from the good or bad takes. So I wasn't too far off. A few things I couldn't foresee. A few things I probably should have foreseen. So anyway, I once again am taking the over this year. We've talked about it. Once again, I am going to be a bit of a homer on the Badgers. I'm going over. It's 8.5 again. I have them winning 9 or 10 games. Next year, we'll come back and we'll see if maybe I'm a little bit closer. On Wisconsin, enjoy game 1. Badger fans, thank you so much for this incredible community that we've helped build together. On Wisconsin, and we'll talk after the game.